Good morning and welcome and happy 4th of July, Independence Day 2015 to all of you. We're going to take a look at a few of the interesting finds that I came across that came into the shop this past week. And I think the one that we'll start with, because it will predicate a few words that I want to say about today, Independence Day. We'll start with the Philco, the wooden case battery operated Philco. We'll take a look at more of these in greater detail in just a bit. I bought that radio from a fellow who operates a small shop here in Attigo, Wisconsin. He basically deals in, I wouldn't exactly say vintage electronics, but older electronics and some of the higher end pieces like Marantz and Bose and some of the old Fisher tube type stuff. Also sells outboard motors, tires, slot cars, things like that. Kind of an interesting guy. And occasionally he gets in a few old radios. And I just happened to stumble in there the other day. All this hoopla about the Confederate flag was going on. But I simply wanted to commission him because he does graphics. He did the graphics for my shop window. Did an excellent job. I just wanted to commission him to put a Confederate flag, a smaller one, on one of my shop windows. I have since been advised that that probably would not be a good thing to do. The reason that I wanted to do it was because do something in honor of Independence Day, to honor my parental side of the family that settled in the South. My great, and probably a few greats on top of that, grandfather was William Bradford, first governor of Jamestown. And many of his descendants settled in the Old South in Mississippi, very wealthy landowners, owned plantations that were wiped out during the Civil War. So to honor them, I wanted to put up a Confederate flag. A few of my associates told me that probably would not be a good idea. My business is just a stone's throw away from the stoplight on probably the busiest corner in Attigo, Wisconsin. I get a lot of north-south traffic. I get a lot of eyeballs in the shop, and I get people who walk in. And people say, well, it's never going to happen in a town of 8,500. You don't have to worry about a brick going through the window or somebody tossing a firebomb through the door or somebody walking in with a pickaxe and in a couple of minutes destroying your whole shop and possibly you. Yes, you do have to worry about it. And as far as the latter goes, that would not be advisable. I think it's important that no matter how bad we think things are in the country today, that we do take time out to salute our veterans, past and present, who have fought on American soil as well as foreign soil to defend our liberties since 1776. I mentioned a possible attack on my business because of the Confederate flag. It is unfortunate that we have to live in fear of reprisals and retribution simply because we are exercising one of our freedoms. And our freedoms are eroding quickly. We elect people to Congress, and don't get me started on it, but we elect people to Congress that we feel will best represent our views. They get to Congress, they get into the vest pocket of some of the old seasoned politicians, and they forget all about their promises. I believe there is still hope for this country. It's kind of like having a mouthful of cavities. If you don't get into the dentist to take care of that mouthful of cavities, you're going to wind up with no teeth. We do live in the greatest country on earth, and we do enjoy freedom abounding. This country has made me moderately successful. and I say that conservatively. Following a great career in broadcasting, radio broadcasting, and then 25 years ago, opening up a business that has become successful in the restoration of antique clocks and vintage electronics, a business that I enjoy going to every day. I enjoy meeting new people who walk in the door. Just to look or to buy, doesn't really matter. But there are a lot of things that are wrong in this country need to be taken care of. I can remember back when I grew up in the 60s, the mid-60s, I was a teenager. I guess you would consider me kind of a badass in those days. But through good parenting and getting my act together, I did become what I would consider a good citizen and somebody who has done quite well. But looking at the values back then, and that was a turbulent time, because a lot of you lived in that era. That was very turbulent, particularly 1967, 68, 69 with the Vietnam War. We still had good old-fashioned family values. We still watched Andy Griffith, reruns of Leave It to Beaver, Ozzie and Harriet, My Three Sons, good family programming. Even though it was turbulent, we had good family values and we practiced them. Today, all of that is passé. It's not in. What is in is the internet. What is in is filth on the internet, Facebook, Twitter. I use the internet for research. I don't have a Facebook account, and Twitter, forget it. But I am proud to say on this 4th of July, Independence Day 2015, that in this shop, not just on the 4th of July, Labor Day, Memorial Day, Christmas Day, and legal holidays, but 365 days a year, I fly Old Glory. I would have enjoyed running a loop, a continuous piece of music during this little talk of Merle Haggard and Okie from Muskogee. However, that would probably be censored too, only in the name of copyright. Anyway, happy 4th of July, and let's just take a few moments to remember the significance of the day. Aside from a paid holiday for most, Wisconsin brats, yes, fireworks, and sitting back in the boat with a cold one in one hand and a fishing pole in the other. That's all well and good. Just take a couple of minutes to remember how important this day is and salute our veterans, past and present, who fought to give us the liberties that we now enjoy. Okay, let's have some fun. Let's take a look at the finds that I acquired this past week. We'll start with the Zenith. My friend Phil, who's getting older like me, who's downsizing, I am not, it seems like I'm ever increasing, brought me this Zenith 790 Navigator, 3-band radio. It's got the long wave and shortwave bands on it, as well as the AM American broadcast band. Radio's in pretty good shape. It needs, let me see if I can get it for you here. Needs to have, this is a common, needs to have the back repaired. Come up with some way to do that. Get into it real quick here. Set that aside. Even came with the original Zenith. See, the chassis is pretty clean. The Zenith service notes. So, we got those. So, that's the Zenith 790. Set that over here. And we'll take a look at the Philco that I got from my friend we talked about a few moments ago, who's got the business in town. This is a battery-operated Philco, about a 1942, and they say it was about the last, and it's a limited production model of the battery-operated Philcos just after America entered World War II. It's in pretty decent shape. The old tenite is actually in good shape. There's a little bit of a break up here. Not a big deal. Grill cloth is good. Still has the original logo on it. And a bit dusty inside. Loctile tubes. And our label and so forth and so on. So we'll be getting at that one. With that, and one of the reasons I bought it was to get the power supply for it. Well, this is a universal power supply. Perma Power. I've had the unit apart, and it has the old selenium rectifier in it. I think it was made in '47. So this will be a good candidate for restoration as well. I'll just use it on the bench when I service battery-operated radios that have a plate voltage maximum of 90 volts and the filament voltage 1.4 volts, 350 milliamps. Okay, got that one. I was fortunate to meet a lady on Craigslist here about a month ago who was liquidating her dad's estate. He had been a research and development electronic technician at one of the major electrical manufacturing companies in Wausau, Wisconsin. And I bought a number of pieces from her back around Memorial Day, I guess it was. She's getting ready to have a rummage sale and invited me to come over and look at a few more things that she had picked out and purchase a few things that maybe I had overlooked. And I did pick up this radio right here. A little rough around the edges. My customers aren't going to care much about that. It'll clean up nicely. Collectors would probably pass it by. There's the diagram on the bottom, made by Audition. Haven't had a chance really to get into it much. It's got the back on it too, miniature tubes. This is an Arvin. This is a metal case Arvin. This is a radio that you would not want to step from the shower and turn on or do an adjustment, because if your hand was to touch on the case, you'd light up like a Christmas tree. It's a metal case and one side is grounded to the AC outlet, depending on which way you have the plug. You might luck out. You've got a 50% chance. You might luck out and have the plug in correctly and you wouldn't feel a shock. But if it was me, I would probably light up like a Christmas tree. So this is it's got a little antenna that comes out, kind of a basic radio. I'm assuming what we have here is the selenium rectifier. This is a Philco that I got from her. This has the Special Services band on it. 1953 model. Does not have the civil defense icons. I don't believe those appeared until late 54, maybe into 55 on some radios. And it's I love the color green. Green's one of my favorite colors. Second color, second only to black. A Special Services band for weather, aircraft. That's the switch for it. And there's the diagram. So we'll do a restoration on that. That was a customer find, not one of mine. 9-tube, 1938 Zenith shutter dial. Picked this up on the local auction, Anago. I forget what it is offhand. This is a Sentinel. And I looked at it and I saw that speaker. I thought, oh my God, this is going to be nothing more than just a part set. But I think I'll restore it. Little crack here on the tenite. It does have the Webster record changer in it. Webster later became Webcor. This is the Sentinel model. You can read it better than I can right now. 1U342-KL. So, that's a few of the finds and a few of the thoughts that I have today for Independence Day 2015. Hope you have a safe and happy one. Stay tuned and straight ahead.